you have to be really careful. There's a safe way to do cop watching, and then there's a not so safe way to do cop watching.
I believe you, and I was and I was wondering about that. For example, you always travel like in the buddy system, 2 or more people. You wouldn't really want to do. The potential exists for something to go wrong if a person does this too many times on their own, just by themselves. And also, for one thing, you've like created a format, kind of a guide, a step-by-step procedure to actually creating police watch groups. So
Sure.
I imagine if we were going to say what's the first thing a person should do to actually, in their community, get people together who are interested in doing this, and of course the best possible way, what would that be? What would the first step be? But at the same time, we started on talking about the safe way to do it, and I was saying probably doing it as a lone videographer isn't the best or safest way, because there's nobody else there with you. If something happens and your camera is taken or whatever, you have no backup. You might get away with it a few times, but something could go wrong.
Sure, yeah, absolutely. I can touch on that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
When you're first starting out, I think it's very important to first research the laws in the state where you are, because the laws in California are going to be radically different than the laws in Oregon, where I am. Now, first thing you do is you research the laws of interfering and what the legal definition of interfering with an officer is in the state that you live in. You just look up the California Penal Code, or in Oregon it would be the Oregon Revised Statute, and be very careful that you don't tread on those limits. Also, there's you got me into this by saying that it's unwise to film by yourself, and when you're first starting out, I 100% wholeheartedly agree. The best thing to do when you're first starting is to just get online and look for Facebook groups. Type in the name of the city that you live in or town that you live in, and type in Cop Watch or Cop Block or police accountability groups and forums, and chances are you live in a town where someone else is already doing this. Once you have a buddy, you can film with one another to keep each other, safe and watch each other's backs. And I'm not just saying this because all cops, I don't operate from the assumption that all cops are evil and they're out to get you. Mm-hmm. But you don't get a chance to make a personality screening when you roll up on a scene. It might be, a cop helping somebody, giving some blind woman a courtesy ride home. Or it might be some amoral sociopath planting drugs on an old lady because they want to get their arrest quota up a little higher so they can make more money, so they can get that raise when they get their next performance review. You never know what sort of cop you're going to be getting. Mm-hmm. So it's really important to have at least one other person. And there's some safety things you can do when you're documenting the police. There's some things you can do to actually put the police at ease so they understand that you're just there to document and you don't mean them any harm. And I would very much like to share that knowledge with people that are thinking about making this happen in the communities that they live in.
Absolutely.
So, right on. So here's that. Like say you're filming a traffic stop, for instance, and there's just one officer there, and there's the person that's been pulled over. So you have the cop car with its lights on, pulled over on the shoulder of the road, and then their car is slightly in front of the cop car, and the cop gets out, and he's standing. They always stand parallel with the person's driver's side window, and they're talking to the person. Now, if you're out on patrol and you're trying to film the police to keep them accountable, the wrong thing to do is to approach the officer from behind and just kind of, step out of a side street. So if the cop is trying to, ask the person for ID and he's writing down their driver's license number with a little notepad and he's by himself and he turns around and there's somebody, just a few feet, like maybe 15, 20 feet away from them with something in their hand and it's a dark side street, you're going to startle the cop. Mm-hmm. So and nobody wants that. I don't care if you're a janitor or a cop or, a bus driver. Nobody likes that. So I recommend, the police will always use their spotlight to blind the person's rear view mirror that they're pulling over. So they're going to be beaming a whole bunch of light down the street, like right through the back of their head and through the front windshield. That's a safety thing for officers. They do that so that if somebody is going to try to hurt them, they can't use the rear view mirror to judge where they are and then pull a weapon. So instead of approaching the traffic stop from behind, for your safety, I recommend to pull your car past the stop and then walk down the sidewalk towards the headlights. That way the officer can see you coming. And then when the officer will challenge you, they will challenge you when you get a little close. They're all, sir, can you just stand right there? Because they don't want you getting really close to them because they don't know who you are or your intentions. And at that time, it's very important to say, officer, I'm just here to document, I'm just here to film, and I mean you no harm. And if you need me to step back, I can take a couple steps back for you. And that contact, is very important. And you basically establish, it's a good way to establish a relationship with a stranger. You show them that you're holding the camera, and you say, I mean you no harm, I'm just here to document. And if you'd like me to step back a little, I will. I have a reputation for being a vicious heckler and a staunch supporter of not only my own civil rights, but others. And I have a reputation online for being a vicious heckler and not taking any BS off of cops. But I know that there's a time and place for everything, and here's the thing, what cop watchers are not supposed to be doing. You're not supposed to be making yourself the focus of the video. When I get sucked into an argument with a cop, or if I get, if I'm unduly mean, or sometimes I'll curse at them, later when I get home, I'm like, wow, I messed that up, because I'm trying to work for the person that's being pulled over and be an advocate for them. So if you get caught up in the arguing with the police too much, or even messing with them at all, it kind of diminishes what you're doing. So the idea is to be a sentinel for the person's civil rights in the car, because that's the person that could be, being done a disservice. So it's kind of important to not allow your ego to get in the way of your cop watching. That said, there's protest me, and then there's cop watcher me. When I'm at a protest or a protest march, especially if the theme of the protest is police accountability, then, I consider a phalanx of cops in riot gear wearing ski masks a captive audience, and I'm going to have fun with them. I'm going to critique their job. I'm going to call out some of the things that I find is horrible disparities between the way that the law treats them versus everyone else. And I'm going to do it in a very brutal, vicious way.
There's plenty of jobs they can get. That whole war on cops thing is garbage collectors have more on-the-job injuries per capita than police. Fishermen have more on-the-job injuries than police. Road workers, people that flag beside the road, have more on-the-job injuries than police.
How about Honey Bucket engineers?
So we have Honey Bucket. That is true, actually.
We have officers. Stop agitating.
Thank you for taking your hand off your side. I'm not agitating them.
You are giving them an excuse.
To what? Stand there like dildos? I give you an excuse. Stand there like a dildo and collect $60 an hour.
That's what I'm wearing.
Shit.
I think it would be really great if they were to replace the sticks with shake weights.
Oh, that officer can't get enough of that.